Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
All right, if you just joined us, it's still Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV. Now to our main conversation. The suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, will today be grilled by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, over alleged 585 million naira fraud in her ministry. She was suspended yesterday by President Bola Tinubu following accusations of paying the humanitarian fund into a private account. The 585 million naira was meant for payment of grants to vulnerable groups in Akwa Ibom State, Lagos State, Cross River State, and Ogun State. Edu is the first minister to be suspended from the office since a member of the Federal Executive Council were sworn in August last year. Before her appointment as minister, she had served as health commissioner in Cross River State and national women leader of the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. Following her suspension, Edu was blocked from seeing President Bola Tinubu, who had directed the anti-graft agency to thoroughly investigate the financial activities of the ministry and some of its agencies. The president also directed a panel headed by the Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, to investigate the financial structure and operations of the Social Investment Program. Joining me in the studio is Dr. Olayinka Oyegbile. He is a communicator and a public affairs analyst. Doctor, you're welcome to Enterprise Morning.
Thank you very much.
And still with me in the studios is Mr. Cyril Abaku, a broadcaster and equally a public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, you're welcome to our program today. Now, it's been a recurring issue, and it's becoming one of the biggest front burners in Nigerian new media and traditional media also. And the question is, it seems like President Bola Tinubu really was a little bit mild in suspending her, but I guess public pressure held a sway. So do you think our president is serious about ending corruption in Nigeria? Let me start with you, Doctor.
Well, in everything Nigerian, I've lived so long in this country. I was born in this country and I've lived in this country for that long. Everything like this, I take with a pinch of salt. The reason is that we've had all this before. In fact, one of my favorite columnists, Adonai Adelakun in The Punch, has put it in very clear terms. She calls it initial gra-gra. These are the kind of things that happen when the new government comes in. They make so much movement and motions and all that. At the end of the day, nothing happens. If we cast our mind back, the National Security Advisor to former President Jonathan spent almost the same tenure with President Muhammadu Buhari in detention. I mean, he was in detention for almost the 8 years that President Buhari was in power. Why? Because they said there was some money, and all this money are usually in foreign currencies. There was some money, security money for Boko Haram that was misappropriated. They gave to media houses. He gave to even Dr. Ruben Abati was a spokesman. And all these things went on for so long. At the end of the day, retired Colonel Sambo Dansuke. He's working free in Sokoto now. Not convicted, nothing happened. So when this one came in now and everybody started making noise, this, I remember that article that lady wrote, Initial Gragra. At the end of this, what we are going to hear is either maybe to please us or to please the general public, she may not get back again as a minister, and that will be the end. We will not hear whether it is true that she's guilty or she's not guilty. In our own case now, it's even a bit clear, sort of. It was just a request. The money has not been released.
Oh, okay.
She just made that request that that money should be transferred to a private account.
Okay, so it hasn't been transferred yet?
It has not been transferred because the Accountant General of the Federation said no. There's no way we can transfer this. It is government money and we cannot transfer government money into a private account, which is in the Financial Act. So, at the end of the day, if the Accountant General had agreed with her, maybe we wouldn't have heard about it. Or if this had been done, and also, you know, in everything that happens in Nigeria, there's always that conspiracy theory. Because it was this same Dr. Betta Edu who exposed the other woman, Sally, or what's her name, the one that to 33 million, that in the National Social Something Program, that long, whatever. She was the one who exposed this lady. So the conspiracy theory now is that those who are against her for exposing that lady are the ones that blew the lead from her own requests too. So all of this is intertwined in some sort of network. So one is not very sure what exactly is happening. And as I said earlier on, yes, President Tinubu has done the right thing, but
after lots of pressure.
No, what I'm even, yes, after a lot of pressure, what I'm even seeing there is that, look, these people are making too much noise. Let me ask her to go and sit down first. So, for me, I will not salute the decision yet. Let us follow it to the last. Because at the end of the day, in another 2 or 3 weeks, something else will happen. And we will focus attention on it, and then we'll forget this. Today now, nobody is talking about the woman that already collected 33 million.
Billion.
Billion. So nobody is talking about that. No, gradually again, attention is shifting away from the CBN governor. So this is what we are focusing on. So Nigeria now is, there was this book I read in secondary school, 1 Week, 1 Trouble. I think it was written by Anizi Okoro or something. What happened is that it was set in a secondary school. And there was this guy, he's always causing fresh trouble every week. So before he finished with 1 trouble, he has caused another. This is what we are seeing. So what we are seeing going on now is we just have so many things happening. This will occupy us for the next 2 or 3 weeks. After that, another thing will come. What will happen after that is what we don't know. We have so many people who have done this. And also, is it that the minister, Betta Edu, was it that she doesn't know that it is against the Financial Act? When they were named as ministers, they went on a retreat.
Yeah.
And I thought, those are the kind of things they would
have been thought and educated, reoriented.
She also was the one who signed. Was she supposed to sign? Maybe she has spoken to the permanent secretary. And the permanent secretary said, no, madam, it's not, we can't do this. And maybe, I don't know. Maybe the permanent secretary refused to do it, or any other director refused to do it, and say, okay, bring it, I'll do it. And then they'll say, okay, you go ahead and do it. I don't know what happened there. She is the only one that can tell us what exactly happened. And also, don't forget this. During Obasanjo's time, there was also a former Minister of Health, Professor Grange, who had the same kind of problem. Issue. Our own was not that she signed something, but it was just that some money was brought to her. That, Prof, this is your money. I said, how is it my money? He said, no, that's the normal thing we do here, maybe end of year or whatever. And the woman collected it.
A giveaway.
At the end of it, look, that woman was a very upright and correct woman. But she was convinced that no, it is an entitlement. Whereas it wasn't. So that was what rubbished her. And after she had to be arraigned in court and all that, the woman today has gone under because of that kind of a shame. So I don't know about this lady much. They say she has been a commissioner in Cross River and all that, but then at 37 or thereabouts. Good. We are saying that they should bring young people in, but is this the kind of young people that we want? So I think I'm not really excited yet about what the president has done. I take it with a pinch of salt, as I said earlier on. So let's see how it goes.
All right. So let's talk about consistency in pursuance of anti-corruption in Nigeria. And the question is this. With lacuna and technicalities that is embedded in our judiciary and all that, do you really think this would press home? Do you think we would get a logical conclusion to such kind of issues and more that will be coming in the future?
Thank you very much, Henry. Thanks for the question. I think that the real burden of dispensing with or discharging probity here lies squarely with the president. The courts, for all you care, she could go to court, get good lawyers, she would get a mitigated sentence, assuming things were going the way they should go. She gets a mitigated sentence or whatever it is. Even if the case was to drag on for a year, 2 years or more, the primary thing Nigerians want to see, or what should save the public image of the country, is that a minister did the wrong thing and the president provided leadership, which is to say, there is no justification. If everything has to go to court, then why do we have rules even in offices? You work in a company, there's what they call rule book. Does your boss need to wait for you to so if somebody came here to work consistently for 5 days or 1 month, and your boss says, okay, we're going to punish you, you say, no, let's go to court first. Or let's first welcome. If that are the case, it means bosses won't have powers to do anything anymore. So the president has to do here. Somebody who has been a former special advisor to a governor, who was a commissioner for a long time, who was head of a COVID-19 task force in the state, who has now become a minister, understands public administration sufficiently. You cannot claim that you don't know. So on account of that, before you raise a request like that, okay, what did the PAMSEC say? What did the senior directors in the ministry say? What did the legal advisor of the ministry also say? Because these monies don't just get generated, right? There are procedures for working this out, of course. Before the money before the file got to our desk, somebody would have prepared the whole document, okay, with consultations from for example, the person in whose Oye Lucy also, Bridget, the person whose account was meant to be paid into. Didn't they also have their own internal control mechanism? They do. So before this whole thing got to Edu's desk for her to sign, she would have gotten sufficient red flags here and there. Institutional, administrative, political. But she was bent on doing it. You know why I said she was bent on doing it? How did Betta Edu, Dr. Betta Edu, approve for money to be paid for staff of the ministry? You see, the civil servants are also very smart. They know what to accept and what not to accept. typically, if you were maybe a member of Ministry of Justice or Ministry of Flower Plant, not flower planting, Ministry of Agriculture, and you were to travel to, let's say, Bayelsa for what they call duty tour, you will go. The money will not be paid to you immediately. They will say go. When you come back, that's when you're now going to retire how much you spent and be given. All of those, for me, are loopholes of corruption. But how did Edu sign up that people should fly to Kogi State?
There was no airport.
There was no airport. So clearly, the president couldn't. I mean, there's no. You can't hide behind me investigating this thing. You can't hide behind that. Now, come back to the main issue on the table. So, because I was saying that it's not by the cause, it's by the president doing what is right for Nigerians to see and believe that yes, our government is working and is doing the right thing. And that, you see, because when this is happening, people of the younger generation are also watching.
Definitely.
I mean, 1999, I was much younger than this. I was still in school. When we saw, who is the Minister of Information? Professor Jerry Ghana. Who is the Minister of Justice? Power and Steel, then, Chief Bola Tinubu. Later became Minister of Justice and Attorney General. Who is the Minister of Internal Affairs? Then it wasn't Interior, he was Internal Affairs. Chief Son Afolabi also. Who is the Minister? We crammed these names. Who was the second document of addition? Chief Ufote Kaite. What is the name of the? Because it was for us, it was that was we needed to know these things. But so let's have a look at those names and compare to what we have today.
True.
When you see the way these people are behaving, can you sincerely ask your children or teenagers today to look up to people in government? This is the matter. You cannot always hide behind investigation. Look, there is the legal side of things. We know that before the law and government, but there's also the moral side of it. The president is a moral arbiter. When something is clearly, patently wrong, so now why did he suspend that? Is it not because something has gone on somewhere? So what he should have done really was that he could have acted earlier, because it now looks as if it was because Nigerians are piling pressure, and he said, okay, he needed to do something. And like Dr. Oyegbila said, we came from the Plateau killings, about which I dare say that nothing was done, nothing is being done, and nothing will seem to be done. Plateau killings. Certainly, that was taken over by Emefiele, then Sadia Farouk, then the suspension of or sacking of Halima Shehu, the woman who now went, yes, the NSIP boss.
Yeah. So
the EFC was going after Dangote, going after Sadia Farouk, going after all these things now diverted attention from Plateau killings to EFC one corruption. Now is Betta Edu. This, Dr. Oyegbila has been in information management system for a long time. Believe me, by Friday or by Monday next week, another big story comes up and everything will die a natural death. In the end, the question is, if the president sincerely believed that Betta Edu was guilty of wrongdoing, you know what he should have done? Sack her, get her arrested. Well, the documents you need to prosecute her, where are they? She signed a memo, she didn't say it was forged. Arrest her and then let her go to court. Charge her within 48 hours. You can do that.
But what's the difference between suspension and outright sacking? Isn't it almost the same thing? Because right now she is out of office, okay? But don't you think there is a little bit of the president finding a way not to make it so edgy with having her suspended than just outright sack? Yeah,
I think the two are different.
Okay.
Because suspension is that, okay, an accusation has been made, she has not been proven guilty, and every accused is presumed innocent until her. Yeah. So she is suspended. Well, suspended, she might not come back, she might come back. When Emefiele was going to be removed, he was initially suspended. So I just think that for the president, wouldn't have dismissed her immediately, because it will mean that she has been adjudged guilty. So as far as this thing is concerned, all is still in the realm of accusation. Because, as I said, what she has done is a breach of civil service role or financial role. She made a request. The money has not been transferred. The money has not been taken. That's true. But to now ask her to dismiss her will have been something outrightly too, judging to conclusion that she's already guilty. So for the suspension now, if by the time she fails EFCC and she's able to explain herself and they find that, okay, it's not as bad, the case is not as bad as we thought, she might get back her seat. But how that will now affect public perception is another thing entirely. Because for me, that ministry is just about 5 years old. I think it was created during the second term of President Buhari. And there has been so much controversy in that ministry, everything. A ministry that is supposed to take care of humanitarian issues and now become like a cooking jar where everybody goes in and dip in his or her hand and take the money. In fact, I also heard recently that so many civil servants are already asking to be transferred to that ministry.
Oh.
It has fallen into those kind of things we call juicy ministry.
Lucrative.
Exactly. So, so you now begin to ask yourself, you have a disaster, you have a problem. You now create an agency or a ministry to take care of that problem. Meanwhile, that ministry now becomes another disaster or another problem-creating ministry or agency in its own case. So, I think give and take, the president has given the Minister of Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy the go-ahead to take a look at that ministry and restructure it and make it a bit better. Because with what I've seen there, it has become a ministry that is open to scandal. Why? There's so much money in that ministry. It's becoming the second Ministry of Petroleum.
True.
Where a lot of scandals happen. But because the president is the Minister of Petroleum, so maybe we may not be able to hear much about that one.
Now, I was just going to ride on the point Dr. Egbile made earlier. Sometimes in court, you hear people say, intent to commit a crime.
Okay.
That is manifest intent. And like I was saying in my first submission, the president has a bounding duty. You see, to the extent that each of the ministers is supposed to be an advisor to the president. And like they swear in America, I don't know how they do it, but in America they say all the president's appointees serve at the pleasure of the president.
Yeah, that's it.
So they are principally the president in extension. That's who they are. Now, now, taking that one step further, if the president is, you see, because these things sometimes, when the case is what it is, lawyers will tell you, this is a bad case. This is the most you can make out of it. Enter a plea bargain. Sometimes they do that. Your lawyers will look at the set of evidence and tell you. So the president wouldn't just suspend the minister, for example. He should have gotten political brief. That is, his advisors would have told him political implications, economic implications, legal and so on. He would have gotten advice. So it's like when you sack the governor of a central bank. You saw when they sacked Emefiele, how the market responded. When they sacked Sanusi, how the market responded. Because the markets, so it's something with the president and with the polity. Now, if the president had gotten sufficient, assuming he was president, same as president, this thing she has done, she has broken the law. And in a court of law, there's nothing anybody can do because the argument can be beyond point 1, point 2, point 3. So the best thing is, she's looking, they will tell you, sir, you're looking at 7 years in jail at the minimum. So what do you want to do? We see this in the movies, we see, yes. So what Betta Edu did was a flagrant breach of extant law. I, for one, am even wondering why the president appointed a fellow minister. You know, he is president, no doubt about it, and has wide powers. But I'm wondering, Dr. Mr. Edu is a minister. He is not the police, he's not the EFC, he's not necessarily, he is not even the head of service that could have given you advice, because under Abuja, you see, these ministries are not fixed. Under Abuja, it was Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Social Development and Disaster Management, right? Now under President Tinubu, it is Humanitarian and Poverty Alleviation. If I was president, I would collapse it.
Totally?
No, Abuja, either Abuja or Shoneko had Health and Humanitarian as one ministry.
Health and Humanitarian?
Yes. In South Africa, yes, in South Africa, it's the same thing you have. It's Health and Humanitarian. They call it Health and Human or Health and Humanitarian.
Yeah.
I would do the same thing if I was president. Because a lot of time, the president split up the Ministry of Environment into Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Blue Economy, Ministry of three ministries. All these things are set up at the pleasure of Mr. President. That is by the way. So the issue of restructuring the investment programs, let me tell you, the amount of money that has been, it wasn't not here that Sadia Farouk was distributing money when students were in the house.
In the same ministry, yes.
Then another one she did, they went to Buhari in Abuja somewhere to distribute money to poor Nigerians, 20,000, how much? Came back and said that they couldn't get the data of people that they gave money to, because they all felt that their pride would be hurt. Which means nobody knew who took how much. The money just went like that the pride would be hurt. So therefore they didn't want to expose their names and their faces. What does that mean? Government that will not thrive on data. Under Betta Edu now, they went to Kogi to go and distribute 20,000 people, and people that went to Kogi were spending millions to go and distribute thousands. So that's why I see both on the moral and legal side. It should have been clear. You see, even the president cannot prosecute her in court and get justice. Okay? He should have said, the one within my power, I will do it. That is, the one that's within my power, I will do. The one that's beyond me, let the courts have that day. Even if it will take them 10 years to dispense with it. So, what is it? What is it? Is to relieve of our duty. But you see, maybe even for him, people will come to me and say, after all, even President Tinubu is corrupt. His own minister was an actor. So maybe they are avoiding all of these things. That's why they are for the optics. But in all sincerity, if you don't deal with one person decisively, now another minister has a company, go open a company with his wife, all right, and to that extent, he said he resigned from his directorship in the company in 2019.
Yeah.
But that company now got 487 million or so from Betta Edu.
Yeah. And
consultancy fee.
Yeah, he's denying it actually.
He said he has resigned from the company.
No, he said he's not.
He resigned his directorship. We know. But the thing is this. I think what the president should perhaps should have done is to even because now what is it looks like they're on a looting spree. What should have happened? The president should have said, let us have a cabinet-wide sweeping investigation. I mean, how could I bring into government within 7 months and billion?
No, you see, what this even shows you is what does the security agencies do? Because before you become a minister, there must be security clearance.
Yes. Yeah.
So does it mean that this security clearance does not cover such things? I mean, if you own a company, whether you have resigned or whatever, and you are becoming a minister, it should be stated that, look, as far as this government is concerned, this company must never give.
Exactly.
But you either agree to be a minister and make sure your company doesn't get any contract from government, or you go back to your company and we can continue to give you business. But this
because it is difficult, sincerely speaking, it is difficult for, it's about perception. Like Caesar's wife. If you have to let it be above board, so that nobody imputes any, because the way it is difficult to convince me that a company linked to another minister, that the minister didn't influence. You know, it's difficult to tell. And like he said, there should have been a list of them to say none of these companies must. Look, even if the law didn't express it, that the president has the power to say, if you want to join this cabinet, none of your whatever, you know, so that way it becomes a clear thing.
Yes, but this begs the question of the sincerity of the president himself. Now, let's backtrack for a while. Let's even take a look at the supplementary budget and the sincerity in that particular budget. 15 billion naira was given to the renovation of the VP's office. 10 billion naira was given to the renovation of the chief of staff's office. Not talk of the first lady and so on and so forth. So, how do you think these things would be resolved amicably when the CNC is equally, allegedly, culpable of some of these issues? Are we not in the same swamp, the same dirty swamp? How can we come out of this swamp knowing that even the top in charge is equally culpable?
I get your drift, but before Dr. Egule comes in, let me just quickly make this. Well, you know, it is difficult, sincerely speaking. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but from the little I know, you may not say the CNC is culpable, and that's why for me, I always say that
allegedly.
No. It may not even be. That's what I'm coming at. I always draw two lines whenever I'm making analysis. I talk of what the legal ramifications are, and then I talk about what the moral ramifications also are. So, where the law does not prohibit or inhibit anyone from doing anything, you cannot impute criminality or, you know, no, I mean, it's not sentiment, it's the truth. Now, the matter of the president, I mean, vice president, 15 billion naira, the people of 10 billion naira, and so on. Clearly, you can see that this doesn't sit right at all. You can see it. But where there's no express law saying or negating that sort of action, you can't impute that. You can't say a crime has been committed. The only thing you can do is to go and check what companies have been given these contracts, and where the money is spent judiciously. Who are the engineers of government who went and checked those offices and said that the offices needed repairs to the tune of that amount of money?
Exactly.
And so what I would have done as president, if I became president tomorrow, the thing that I'll do is all those engineers who came and said that the Betta Edu office needed repairs, bring the findings, bring the assessment. If it's not what it should be, your license will be revoked for another 20 years.
That is when the president is sincere about
No. What the president should have even done, talking on the moral side of it, and which is the leadership side of things. You know, there's a difference between a manager and a leader. A manager talks of leadership, the handbook for the factory handbook. He will not do anything outside of what the book says. He's a manager, right? So he will give account based on the things that are written down. But a leader understands better. A leader knows that he knows that what he does is an example to others. He knows that the way he dresses, the way he talks is what people will follow and do. He knows that there's a moral side to work. So why should I, as president, approve 10 billion naira to refurbish what? I know it's a spurious thing. People want to just take money, but the thing is, to even prove that people are taking money, you think it's easy? It's not that easy. Why does EFCC always bundle cases in court? No matter how weak the defense is, if the prosecution is not strong enough to nail the defense, the court cannot award a judgment. So a lot of times they go to court and they say, you see, that's why before they go to court, they come to the court public opinion to spoil the person's image, because they know that in the real court they may not win. They know it. You can proving this is not easy. That's why in America, before they even charge to court, see what they do. The process is suspicion, investigation, then indictment. Nigeria does not ever indict. You indict first. When you indict, the person comes and says, this matter is, that's why I was saying that they'll tell the president this matter is as good as won or lost. He will know. When the person is indicted, you tell the person, come. The person comes with the lawyers, they'll tell the person, this case you can't win it. The evidence is smoking, is hot. So they say either enter plea bargain, enter terms, or plead guilty, so that the conviction will be lesser than what it would have been if you pleaded not guilty and they found you guilty. They don't even indict in Nigeria. They just arrest the person, put the person on the entire looking for evidence to, and before then, all those who have evidence would have disappeared into thin air. So in Betta Edu's case, if the president knows better that what she did was wrong, which I believe, what I would have done is, so Saka, you cannot just remember and say they should pay money in the private account. You are breaking, the president is an accountant. You are breaking the law. It's clear and simple.
Very clear.
Even in companies, when they say, okay, use your money and buy something and come, you must bring the receipt of what you bought to the company so that they, it's a formal thing. So, but for her to generate the boldness to say, pay the money to a private, and it was like, and the general was not telling her that we can't pay that money. Dr. Betty, what have you done? It's on fire. You are raising the analogy of the office of chief of staff and vice president. I will not approve for you to spend 50 billion naira to it's all a hoax. It's all a hoax.
Are they just building the office from the scratch?
It's all a hoax.
And Doctor, I would love you to give us your last submission of this. Where do you think this leaves Nigeria amongst the region, in sub-Saharan Africa and across the world? What is our perception like right about now? Do we care about that? I mean, those in authority, do they care? How bad is it?
Well,
and do they care?
I'm not sure anybody cares about the way the country is perceived or looked at outside our shores, as long as they can have their way. I remember some years back, I told some people that I've come to that point now that I no longer get ashamed on behalf of anybody. What do I mean? They always say that, when they say Nigeria, they say, 419, corruption, and so on. To me, I no longer get ashamed that I can't even feel ashamed that I feel proud as a Nigerian. And I want you to judge me by my own character, not by the perception of Nigeria that you have. And this is the same thing here. But, look, in the 90s, there was this Zimbabwean friend who came on a Commonwealth scholarship in Nigeria. And he said, before he came to Nigeria, the way he was hearing corruption in Nigeria, he thought he would see corruption walking on the streets of Nigeria. That they have so much talked about corruption in Nigeria that he thought corruption is a human being. He will walk on the street. So, as far as I'm concerned, people don't care about what perception people have of Nigeria. But, okay, look at it this way. The way people look at Nigeria is like an elephant. It is the side that you touch, that you talk about. Some people will look at Nigeria from the perspective of our creative industry, which we have gotten perfectly well. If Nigeria today can get its politics and economy right as the artistic
creative industry,
this country would be great. This country would blossom. But unfortunately, that's why when people are saying that the industry is surviving despite government with lack of government support, that government should support them, I always say no. I don't think government should support them. Because the moment the government comes in to support, everything will scatter. So the best thing is we must get our politics right. This way, the creative industry, is it literature, is it music, is it arts, everything about Nigeria, everywhere, or when it comes to creativity, even we are slow comers to internet industry. But Nigeria now,
we're all over the place.
The Facebook founder to travel all the way from the US to come to Nigeria, to Yaba specifically, to see what they are doing there. So, Nigerians, we must we succeed at individual level. But at corporate level, that is where the problem is. So, I think that give and take, Nigeria will continue to survive, Nigeria will continue to make it, whether they like it or not. whether they still are all or Nigeria go survive. There is a song like that. So I think on that note, that's just what the way I say it.
Exactly. You know, it's often said that for us to build a great Nigeria, it's very important that first off, our leaders must get it right. Because if they don't get it right, it's very possible that followers won't equally get it right. I'd love to say a big thank you to Dr. Olayinka Oyebile for being part of our show today. Thank you so very much, sir, for availing us your time. And Mr. Cyril Abaku, thank you so very much for also being part of our show today. And to you watching, we'd love to say thank you so very much also for giving us your time. Please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Follow us, like and comment on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Subscribe to our YouTube channel also at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Gwebika. I'll see you tomorrow for yet another awesome discussion. Cheers.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.